you ever looked back at an old photo of yourself and thought, was that really me? Maybe you see a wide-eyed kid smiling at a birthday party, or a teenager with questionable fashion choices, and you wonder if the person staring back is somehow a stranger. Are we, at our core, the same person throughout our lives? Or do we change so much that our self is essentially replaced over time? At first glance, the answer seems obvious. Of course I'm the same person. I have the same name, the same social security number, the same body, right? But when you dig a little deeper, this idea of consistency becomes a lot murkier. What seems like a straightforward truth begins to unravel the more we examine it. It sets the stage for a deeper question: what truly makes us, us? First, think about the physical aspect of who you are. The cells in your body are constantly regenerating. In fact, most of the cells in your body, including your skin cells, your liver cells, and even your bones, are completely replaced every few years. This means that, biologically speaking, the physical you is quite different now compared to 10 or 20 years ago. Even your brain, the supposed headquarters of your identity, restructures itself, a process called neuroplasticity. New connections are formed, old pathways break apart. So, if nearly every part of your physical being is new, can you truly claim to be the same person as your childhood self? Then there's the question of memory, which, in many ways, holds the key to who we think we are. Memory binds together our sense of identity. You remember where you grew up, your favorite toy, your first day of school. These memories shape your narrative, your story. But here's the catch. Memory is famously unreliable. Studies show that each time you recall an event, your brain subtly alters it. Over time, the memories you rely on to define yourself may become distorted. Some fade away entirely. Others are rewritten so they bear only a loose resemblance to what actually happened. Here's a striking example. Have you ever been absolutely sure about a vivid memory, only to learn it didn't happen the way you thought? Or maybe didn't happen at all? It's like getting hit with the realization that the foundation of your past, the very things you use to define who you are, might be more fragile than you imagined. But beyond the biological and the psychological, the question of self has a deep philosophical history. The 17th century philosopher John Locke argued that identity is rooted in memory. For Locke, if you remember doing something, then that act is tied to your identity. But what happens when you don't remember? What if you lose your memories due to trauma, age, or illness? A person suffering from conditions like Alzheimer's might feel like they are losing pieces of themselves. But are they any less them because of it? Others push back on memory as the defining factor for identity. The philosopher Derek Parfit took a different approach, suggesting that identity is not a fixed thing, but a series of overlapping connections. Imagine your life as a book, with each chapter representing a phase of your existence: childhood, adolescence, adulthood. Parfit says these chapters are loosely connected. They may share themes, characters, and settings, but each chapter is distinct. The you at age 18 isn't entirely the you at age 40. But the connections between your past and present selves create a continuity, a thread of self that persists over time. And then there's the wild metaphor of the Ship of Theseus. You've probably heard of it. If you take a ship and gradually replace every plank, every mast, every rope until nothing original remains, is it still the same ship? Well, the same question applies to us. If our cells regenerate, our memories restructure, and even our personalities evolve, are we still the same person we were? Or are we, like the Ship of Theseus, a new creation built upon old parts? Science, too, weighs in on this debate. Psychologists studying personality evolution have found that while certain traits, like extroversion or conscientiousness, can stay relatively stable over time, others shift dramatically. You may outgrow fears, develop confidence, or change your priorities. In fact, researchers have found that we tend to underestimate how much will change in the future. Every significant life experience, a heartbreak, a career shift, the birth of a child, adds something new to the mix. When you think about it, today's version of you might seem alien to the version that existed 10 years ago. But identity isn't just something we define for ourselves. It's also shaped by how others perceive us. Society often insists that we remain consistent, that we carry labels and roles with us like luggage. You're the rebel child, the shy teenager, the ambitious young adult. These identities stick, even if we feel we've outgrown them. And this interplay between our internal sense of self and external perceptions begs an even bigger question. How much of who we are is formed by the expectations, judgments, or demands of others? It's fascinating, isn't it? On one hand, we experience ourselves as continuous beings, moving through life with a name and a singular sense of I. But on the other hand, every version of you is unrecognizably different from the last. So, are you really the same you were 10 years ago? Or 5 years ago? Or even last week? And here's where things get comforting or unsettling. The truth might be that identity isn't something static or final. It's a process, a verb, more than a noun. Instead of asking, "Who am I?" maybe we should be asking, "Who am I becoming?" Each day, each interaction, each decision adds a brushstroke to the ever-changing painting of your life. So, are we the same person throughout our lives? Maybe the answer lies somewhere in between yes and no. We carry threads of continuity, a faint melody that plays in the background of every stage of life. But we're also transformed by time, experience, and change. And isn't that the beauty of existence? That we aren't trapped in one version of ourselves forever? We grow, we change, and yet there's still something uniquely us that persists. As you watch the credits roll on the story of your life, each chapter uniquely crafted, maybe that's the ultimate question. The threads that weave through your existence, the connections that unite your past and your future selves, what do they mean to you? Are they enough to say, "This is me"? Let us know what you think. Are you the same person you've always been? Or has time molded you into someone new entirely? Are we all just evolving ships sailing the sea of change? Drop your thoughts below and let's keep this conversation going.